This Linzer Torte is so delicious. Originating from Austria, it is said to be the oldest cake ever to be named after a place. Think a beautiful big jam tart with buttery shortbread pastry flavoured with almonds. This recipe today comes from a very old Viennese cookbook, and I'm excited to share it with you. By the end of this video, you'll know how to make this beautiful tart. The written recipe is in the description of the video. Into a bowl, I sift 150 grams of plain flour, a quarter of a teaspoon of cinnamon, and just 1/8 of a teaspoon of ground cloves. Then I add 150 grams of finely ground almonds or almond meal, 115 grams of caster sugar, 1 big teaspoon of finely grated lemon peel, and 2 hard-boiled egg yolks, which I press through a fine sieve. I had to switch the sieve. The first one was a bit too fine. Don't be put off by the cooked egg yolks. This is a trick that bakers have been using for centuries. It produces a beautiful, light, flaky and tender pastry. I stir the dry ingredients together. Then into the bowl I place 225 grams of very soft butter, 1 teaspoon of vanilla essence and 2 raw egg yolks. Using a wooden spoon, I beat the mixture until it is smooth and doughy. If your butter is very soft, the dough comes together fairly simply. If it's not, feel free to use your hands. I form the dough into a ball, wrap it in plastic wrap and refrigerate it until it firms up, for at least an hour. You'll need a 9-inch tart tin or springform pan. Even though mine is non-stick, I still like to give it a quick spray of oil, or I'll use a pastry brush and give it a light coating of melted butter. After an hour, I remove about 3/4 of the dough from the plastic and I return the remainder to the refrigerator. Adding pieces of the dough with my fingers, I press and push it out so that it covers the bottom of the pan and a little up the sides. Then I use a spoon to smooth it over. If your dough is too firm, let it soften up a bit. I'm using about 300 ml of jam today. You can use your choice of jam. I've made it with raspberry jam, apricot jam, and today I'm using blueberry jam. The traditional jam is raspberry, and I spoon the jam and I spread it evenly over the bottom of the shell with a spoon. Then I take the remaining quarter of the pastry from the fridge and flour my surface, and with a floured rolling pin, roll out the rest of the dough into a rectangle. The dough will soften pretty fast because of the high butter content, but hang in there. I like to flour everything that touches the pastry, including the knife. With a knife, I cut the pastry into thin strips. My mother-in-law said they should be thinner, and she's right. I use a metal spatula which I dust with flour, and I carefully pick up a strip and I place it across the middle of the pie. I continue this way, patching the strips together with pieces of dough to form like an X pattern. I managed to produce a pretty rustic but lattice sort of effect. It doesn't have to look perfect because it is traditionally dusted with ice and sugar after it is out of the oven, which hides any mistakes. And to be honest, a rustic looking pie to me looks homemade, and that's what I tell myself. I'm no pastry chef. Today was a hot day, 32 degrees, so my pastry was softening very fast. With a butter knife, I gently and lightly press the dough from the sides down to form a border around the strips, using dough scraps to fill gaps that need more dough. And using a pastry brush, I lightly brush all the exposed pastry with a couple of tablespoons of single cream. Then I refrigerate the tart for between 30 to 60 minutes. In the meantime, I preheat the oven to 170 degrees Celsius, no fan, so just convection oven, and I bake the torte in the middle of the oven for about 45 to 50 minutes until it's lightly brown. And the house smells so good at this stage. When done, I run a butter knife gently around the edges of the pan and then place the pan on a large tin or jar and slip down the outside rim. Be careful here, it's really quick. I let the torte cool for 5 minutes, then I lightly dust it with icing sugar. Linzer torte should cool to room temperature before being served. We love it with some cream. It keeps so well in the refrigerator for up to a week if it lasts that long. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this recipe. We love it, and I'm off to have another piece right now.